Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, where you will find interesting guests and discussions about cutting-edge topics to assist you on your journey. The Quantum Guide Show is ideally suited to the newly awakened and for those who feel isolated by their newfound beliefs. The mind, body, and spirit thrive when we have a mission, and there is no greater mission than to become the change that we wish to see in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels, and share this show with your friends. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, my returning guest is Carmen Turner-Schott. Carmen is an author, licensed clinical social worker, psychological astrologer, and teacher with national and international clientele. She is a published author of 8 books, and her latest is called Phoenixes and Angels, Mastering the 8th and 12th Astrological House. Carmen has been researching the 8th and 12th astrological houses and trauma healing and transformation for the past 25 years. And she believes that everyone can benefit from understanding what makes them feel happy, passionate, and emotionally fulfilled. Today, we're going to discuss Phoenixes and Angels, Mastering the 8th and 12th Astrological Houses. And I want to thank everybody in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with your family and your friends. Hi, Carmen. How are you doing today?
Hi, Karen. I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. I
Good.
can't believe it's already going to be July soon, right? It's it's
I
flying
know. I
by.
think it's the first day of spring, or sorry, summer, first or second.
Summer solstice. Yeah,
Yes.
sun moved into Cancer, the sun sign Cancer today, and a lot of watery, homebody energy going on now. We're going to want to be home more with our family and friends. The sun moved out of Gemini. So last month we were all restless and go, go, go and
Yeah.
multitasking. And now we're kind of, ooh, I need to rest from the craziness of the Gemini season, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Now, before we get started, I'm just wondering, did I leave anything out in your introduction? Is there anything you want to tell people before we get into you talking about your wonderful new book? It is your 8th book. Do I have that right?
This is my ninth one.
Oh, your 9th. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is my ninth. No, no worries. It's Phoenixes and Angels, Master in the 8th and 12th astrological houses. And, for many years, like you said, I've been researching the 8th and 12th houses in astrology, specifically people that have planets in those houses, and also people that have a lot of Scorpio energy and a
Mhm.
lot of Pisces energy in their chart, because that also makes you an angel and a phoenix. And kind of how I named 12th house people angels and 8th house people phoenixes is based on the energy and life experiences that they typically have shared with me all of these years that I've been doing counseling and meeting people. And so, I can talk a little bit about that, the 12th house, the 8th house, and some of my research, today. And all of it is in the book. I give tips, explain to anyone to learn more about themselves and others, but even astrologers or people that are beginners can read this book and understand, wow, I understand what the 8th and 12th houses are about, because they're the most mysterious and mystical houses in astrology, and there's not a lot of books out there about them. When I first started studying astrology, I was 16 and I realized I had 8th and 12th house planets. And at that time, there was only one book about the 12th house out there. And it was not in depth, and it kind of confused me, and it didn't really make a lot of sense. Now there's one other book that's out that's really good on the 12th house. And I believe I can't think of her name, Tracy, I think's her name, but she has an amazing book out there, I think the Hidden Self. And that wasn't published though till 2000. So I didn't really have anything when I was growing up, so to speak. And
Mhm.
so I wrote The Mysteries of the 12th Astrological House. I wrote it last year, and it's all about the 12th. And I decided, I'm going to put both houses together in a big, thick book and just expand a little bit give examples of the different spiritual gifts that people have when they have planets in these houses. So they have a lot of unexplained experiences that no one can explain to them, and they often feel like they're from a different world. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they're not from their family, that they're alien, that they're adopted. They just are very different, and they're born spiritual. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And they don't always realize that that's what it is until they get a little older. But almost 99.9% of people I meet with 12th and 8th house planets have intuition. They dream things that happen. They feel energy. They're
Mm-hmm.
very, very perceptive, and they have spiritual abilities, and they're born with it. And that's what happened to me. And I started realizing, wow, this is why I'm different. And
Mm-hmm.
astrology validated that for me. And so that's why it became my passion. And I just dedicated my life to the 8th and 12th houses, really. And I have two astrology groups that I started back when Facebook was brand new. And I got 15,000 people from all over
Wow.
the world in there, in those two specific groups. The mysteries of it's the 8th house Deep Soul Divers group, and then the 12th astrological house group. And those groups were the very first Facebook astrology groups that ever were created. And I just, just help people. People post, we support each other. It's free. It's like a support group.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been running those groups as an admin since 2010, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a long time, and I have members in there that were with me from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a lot of new members, and a lot of now there's a lot more Facebook groups out there, but mine were the one of the first two. And so I dedicated it to all about these two houses here. So I'm excited about the new book, because a lot of people that have planets in these houses, they have struggles, and they have to learn to heal. And a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
have very traumatic experiences that they've been through in their life. And those experiences often happen to get them on the path of why their soul came to this earth, which is their soul mission. And
Mm-hmm.
mission is to study all of these spiritual mystical things, whatever they love, whether it's astrology or energy healing or crystals, or whatever it is, and to master that and to help other people heal. So they're really, light workers, and
Mm-hmm.
they're here to help people heal, and to also overcome a lot of things in their life. And so the two houses are similar. These two houses are very similar, but a little bit of a different energy. So, we
You
were
want to
talking.
talk about how they're similar and then how they're different?
Sure. So, we were talking a little bit about Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Pisces is water, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So it's a very, very sensitive, compassionate, kind energy. It's also, Pisces energy is known to lack boundaries between themselves and others. So Pisces people and energy, 12th house energy, they attract people that have problems. They
Mm-hmm.
draw people that have pain, and they like to help people, but they also don't know how to always say no and to
Mm.
their energy, so they can get taken advantage of when they're younger by being very giving and very
Mm-hmm.
kind, and they can get hurt by not, realizing that everyone is not like them. So that's why I call them angels, because it's like they fell to earth, to this lower realm, this harsh earth, right? Like, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't like being here. These are the things I hear. I know I'm not from here, Carmen. No one's like me, and why is everyone so mean? All this stuff, because they're
Mm-hmm.
just they're angelic. They really believe that people are good and have best intentions at heart, so they see the good in people. Neptune rules Pisces in the 12th house, so it's that planet of illusion, of idealism, of imagination. So it's like people that have rose-colored glasses on, and they only see the good in everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
so 12th house people often feel like a victim in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do people always want to hurt me? And why am I so sensitive and all these things, right? And once they realize that they're special, they're angels, that fell to earth, and and angel, fallen angels is not a bad thing. When I reference that, it means that they just fell from the spirit realm to the earth realm, and
Mm-hmm.
they're here for a reason
Mm-hmm.
and for a purpose. And so 12th house energy is all about solitude, escaping from the world, meditation, cosmic consciousness, oneness with God, oneness with others, the subconscious, the superconscious minds, the levels of mind, dreams, sleep, all of those things rule the 12th house.
Mm-hmm.
And foreigners, even foreign travel, living in another country, being a nun, a monk, a rabbi, being drawn to to spiritual pursuits that isolate you from the real world, from
Mm-hmm.
society,
Mm-hmm.
because Pisces likes to escape from the harshness of the world and be in their imagination. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's creativity too, and artistic abilities. All of those things 12th house people have, but they're compassionate. It's really a house of compassion, kindness. It's the house of service or suffering. So because it's the house of suffering, sometimes when planets are there, we have to go through some hard emotional experiences, because that, and I always say this, if you don't ever have pain, a lot of times if your life is perfect and you never had anything go wrong, you wouldn't ever seek or question, why are you on earth? Why are you here?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that pain is what awakens 12th house people to say, okay, I'm here for a purpose. And they
Mm-hmm.
start getting on the spiritual path. That's why these things happen to them. And so I had an astrologer when I was 19 do my chart. And I never really had anyone ever do my chart because I had just knew it, did it myself. And he told me, your sun is in the 12th house, and anything you put before God will get taken away from you. And I thought, oh my gosh, and so I realized that stuck with me all these years. And now that I'm older, I see exactly what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you put a relationship or a person or a job or anything over a connection with your higher power, whatever that is for you, um, you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a 12th houser, because you're meant to really um escape from having to come back to earth, to freedom. It's the
Mm-hmm.
final house in astrology, it's the ending, it's the last house. So they say people have planets there have lived many lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so they really want to master what they need to do spiritually so they can help other people, right? And stay in the angelic realm and not have to come back, right? And so I love 12th house people. They care about others, they're kind, but some of the darker side of the 12th house is addiction,
Mm-hmm.
because escaping, you know, from emotions, because they're so sensitive. They
And
feel,
yes, it's also intense, and it's very difficult to put yourself out into that, throughout your life.
yeah.
Whether we're born into a very dysfunctional family, or whether we've had an illness or something happen, or tragedy, it is. And I've actually worked as a social worker with people who had intravenous substance use issues.
Mhm.
And they were honestly some of the most sensitive, beautiful people I have ever met. And what a tragedy, that they've had. That there's, on the one hand, the sensitivity, and on
Yeah.
the other hand, this horrible stuff that's happened to them that's caused
Yeah.
them to seek some relief through addiction. So I totally hear you. I'm wondering too if the idealism also sets us up maybe a little bit for some big disappointments, because we see how the world could be and it isn't, and we don't understand why it's not. I don't know if that's making any
Yes.
sense, but
Oh no, exactly. It's like there's sadness. The 12th house, there is loneliness. It's the house of loneliness and sadness, because 12th house people often feel like they're very separate from others, but what they really don't understand till they get older is that they're actually connected to everything.
mm-hmm.
There's a oneness about eighth and 12th house, which we'll talk about. But there's 5 patterns that I'm researching that I've seen with 12th house planets, specifically people with the sun and moon there,
Mm-hmm.
and people with the stellium, which is 3 or more planets in one house. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those patterns are: number one, there's often an absent or missing parent.
Mm-hmm.
If the son is there, it's often the father figure.
Mm-hmm.
There's either physically absent, like didn't have them in the home, didn't know them, or there's an emotional distance between,
Yes.
there's not a strong bond.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have did random charts, pulled 30 random charts, and 99% of them meant that pattern, that number one pattern.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is there, it's often the mother. There's some type of a responsibility feeling towards the mother. Sometimes they feel like that they're the parent of their mother, that they have to
Mm-hmm.
be the wise one, right? And the mother needs their help or support to be strong. And it can play out in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that the father figure passed away at a young age and the mother had to do everything on their own. So the oldest child, moon in the 12th, became the partner of the mother to help them pay bills, help
Mm-hmm.
raise their siblings. It could be all kinds of things. Or sometimes the mother figure could struggle with mental illness or depression. Same with the father figure when the son is there. And so that's one pattern: an absent or missing parent, or feeling that you don't have a connection or deep bond with one of your parents. It's very common with 12th house planets. The other thing is psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So dreaming things, specifically the dreams, uh, flashes of images, but dreaming of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every 12th house person I've met has dreamed of always dreams of what's coming in their life or in others. They dream
Oh,
about
yes.
all of that, and they know, like even the 9/11, all of these things, they dream about it. And these major catastrophes, they kind of knew because they were dreaming about it maybe years before. And then they started realizing, wow, I'm different, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's why, because the 12th house is dreams. It's the spiritual side of life. It's the higher consciousness. It's the universe, right? Connecting with that higher power. And so psychic abilities is big. Addiction, either from of themselves, where they struggle with addiction. It could be typically alcohol, could be any type of drug, could be food, could be work, could be sex, could be anything, relationships, love,
Yeah.
whatever helps you numb the pain and escape. Because 12th house people feel so deeply and are so tender hearted.
Mm-hmm.
So numbing, and it can be hard for them to relax. They can have anxiety. They have to have solitude. That's another
Mm-hmm.
pattern. They need to be alone. And if they don't, then they don't feel good. And they
Mm-hmm.
can struggle with depression and anxiety, because being alone recharges them. It refreshes their energy, and it's the house of solitude. So they need a place in their house where they can go and be by themselves. They need to have peace and harmony in their life. So it's a very sensitive, watery, emotional house. And many of them go into the healing field: psychology, social work, all of these different things, counseling, because they want to help other people, because
Mm-hmm.
they have had their own wounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the patterns that I see. And then the eighth house is water. It's a water house as well, but it's ruled by Scorpio. And
Mm.
Scorpio is a water sign, but it's a very different water sign than Pisces.
Oh, yes. I have a sister who's Scorpio, and I'll just be blunt, we don't really get along because we see things so differently. It's not that one is right and one is wrong. We just
Sure.
see the world so differently.
Yes, it's Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So, you have, Pisces is the 12th house is Neptune, which is spirituality, addiction, escapism, service to others, creativity, right? Then you've got Scorpio, which is Pluto, which is death, rebirth,
Mm.
destruction, transformation, but also healing. But it's a lot of change. Okay, a lot of change. And so when you have planets in the eighth house, it's the house of rebirth. And that's why I associate with the phoenix, and a lot of people associate the sign Scorpio with the Phoenix, even though Scorpio is ruled by the scorpion, its ancient symbol is the eagle. It's a
Mm-hmm.
higher octave of Scorpio. It's like a wise, evolved scorpion, or eighth houser is going to be the eagle or the phoenix. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the lower, darker Scorpio energies, negative traits would be the scorpion,
Mm-hmm.
which protects itself at all cost. And if you hurt them, they'll sting you and kill you, right? And they cut you off. Boom,
Yeah.
you're done. You know, if you make them mad, they won't talk to
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
that's the lower side of the eighth house in the Scorpio energy. But eighth house rules death. It rules grief, loss, trauma. It rules other people's resources. It rules that it's sacrifice. Both the eighth and 12th houses have to do with sacrifice. It has to do, they both have to do with secrets.
Mm.
So eighth house secrets are, it's like Pandora's box that's open and everyone knows. And so it's like you're aware that there's secrets. You see them, but may as an eighth house or no one wants to talk about it. So it's like the house of taboo. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you know that your uncle's having an affair with someone, you know it and you're 16 and you're at mom, I saw him out with someone. No, no. You know, they know you're wrong. Or you
Mm-hmm.
that someone's not safe. You can that they are, there's not a good vibe there. It's the house of sexuality. It's a house of sexual abuse, sexual healing.
Interesting.
So people that have planets there, not always, but sometimes have some type of a sexual trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And that trauma, and that's because Scorpio rules sex and trauma and all these things, right? It can be a feeling of being taken advantage of by intimacy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it may not be sexual assault, it may not be child abuse, or but it can be your innocence or your trust was broken and you felt betrayed at
Mm-hmm.
some point. That's eighth house energy. It's a little heavier and deeper and more transforming than 12th house energy. 12th house energy is more angels, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, imagination, mysticism. Eighth house is more dark, more hidden, more secretive. It's like the things no one wants to deal with, but eighth house people are very naturally drawn to those things. You know, a lot of eighth house people are comfortable with death. They work as mortuaries. They work as death doulas, right? In
Yes,
hospice, and they help people transition. And a lot of,
absolutely.
you know, it's cool. And a lot of eighth house people and Scorpio people energy, they really are into they believe in ghosts and spirits, and a lot of them have experiences with dreaming about a loved one that dies or seeing them at the side of their bed. You know, these experiences that no one would believe them, but they have these very spiritual experiences that they can't explain. And I've had them. I have a lot of eighth house, so and 12, so I've had them. And some of them are I talk about in this book. I have a whole thing about a lot of my dreams and things I dreamed that happened, that had to do with death and dying. You know, my I dreamed both my grandmothers came to me in a dream before they passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've I've had a lot of experiences with that. I've had some other strange experiences. When I sleep, I wake up in my dreams, like lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so hard to ever explain that to anyone, you know, and I'm a social worker. So I'm very practical side too, but I know what I've experienced. And that's the thing. That's why I've made astrology my passion, because I know it validated why I had these strange things happen to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that and when I tell these stories and I write about them in here, about my experience, and I have stories from people all over the world that shared with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool this past weekend. I did a book signing and I met a lady that shared her story with me about her husband and sexual abuse and things that she went through with her husband, who after married for many years felt that he was gay and divorced, and you know these issues around sexuality, these issues
Mm-hmm.
around intimacy, and she had shared her story, and I had it in my first book, my first eighth house book that I self-published in 2010. And she came in the store and said, "That's my story. I sent that to you back in 2010." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And she's like 78 years old now, you know. And so it
Mhm.
was so cool to meet her, and she was eighth houser and said, this was my life, and now I'm healing people. I'm helping other people. She was working in hospice and just sharing some things with me. And so it's amazing because eighth house people may hit rock bottom, but they always rise up stronger and more resilient. So
Mhm.
it eighth house is a resilient house because the phoenix it changes. And when eighth house people go through these metamorphoses is what I call it. It's like a butterfly, which I
Mhm.
talk about. I have a chapter, an article I wrote about eighth house people are like butterflies. When they come out of that new cocoon, they feel emotionally, physically different,
Mhm.
mentally different. They are a different person. And it's like they look in the mirror, they don't recognize who they are. Like, oh my gosh, I don't even feel like I am me anymore. And
Mhm.
it's a really strange feeling as an eighth houser to have, and it's hard to explain to anyone. And
Mhm.
a lot of them want to just get rid of things. They want to purge. They'll give away their possessions. You know, same with 12th house people. Just it's a similar spiritual energy, but with the eighth house, there's often there needs to be healing. And it's the house of deep healing, and they're wounded healers, is what I say, because when you have planets in the eighth, you have been through things and you understand because you've been in someone's shoes.
Mhm.
And so you know what it feels like. So you're the best at helping them. It's kind of like a therapist or counselor that specializes in trauma and that has had a lot of trauma in their own life. They get it, you know, and you know, it's like I know a lot of people are like, when they try to find a counselor, it's hard to find someone that people, not everyone resonates with everyone, right? You have to find the right counselor for you. And,
Absolutely.
you know,
And
and I call it, yeah.
sorry, I was just going to say, unfortunately, in my experience, I'm not saying that this is true for other people, but I found, especially in recent years, a lot of the people that are in the counseling, those that aren't in touch with their heart, they tend to be very bureaucratic. And
Mhm.
and I don't I personally don't benefit much from them. But let me ask you something. Now, I'm wondering if do you believe in reincarnation? I personally do, but I'm wondering if we come back in the different houses to experience and grow and for our soul development, because as you've been describing, each house has its own challenges, its own good things, its own nothing is all bad or all good, it's all a mix, but we each share different sort of aspects. So I'm wondering if you think, do we come back until we've got it, until we've basically mastered the whole, or what's your take on all of that, Carmen?
Well, that there are a lot of theories about that the 12th house is the house of endings. So it's kind of the final your final soul past life. Your final life, if you have a lot of, they believe if you have a lot of planets in the 12th, it's like your final life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've done a lot of research with Edgar Casey. You know, I love him. He's an eighth
Oh,
and
me
12th
too.
house person. He is his I
I love him so much. I know he's not alive anymore, but I still love him, and the stuff he's brought to this
oh
planet
yeah,
has just been just such a treasure.
I use his chart as an example in the eighth and 12th house class I teach because he was a Pisces sun and it was in the eighth house. So he was a 12th houser and an eighth houser, and he had the experience of seeing his deceased grandfather, the spirit of him. He also, you know, had an experience where he couldn't talk. He was mute for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he could lay down and sleep on his books and remember everything that was in the books. And he had all these mystical experiences. He was a 12th houser, eighth houser. He was both. And he talked about in his readings, you know, and those that don't know Edgar Casey, what he would do is he was a minister. He was a Christian minister, actually. And they would hypnotize him, so to speak, put him to sleep. And he would share all of this very deep knowledge and information that he had no idea about in his real life.
Yeah,
And it
when he
was,
woke up, he didn't even remember what he'd said.
oh,
That's why people transcribed as he was
yes,
speaking. Yeah.
yes, he was
Oh,
channeling the
yes.
his higher self or the spirit guides, the angels. And there's a book called Planetary Sojourns. He believed and he channeled this is through his readings that we all have lived on different planets. Our souls live
Mhm.
on different planets, and we've have like Saturn, Uranus, and you actually can do a chart through the ARE to see what sojourns you have, based on his theory. But he believes that we live, our soul, our spirit has lived on other planets, and there's a vibration that we have,
Mhm.
and now that we're on the earth realm, we're here to help people. But some of us may have been on Uranus, and you have a lot of Uranian energy, and you're bringing that in, or someone was on Neptune, right? And so that book's really fascinating. It just came through the records. The Akashic records is what he would tap into, the book of
Yes.
knowledge, the library of knowledge. And I'll tell you, I got trained in the Akashic records, and that's how I write the books I write. I open up my record and I handwrite things, ask questions about astrology, different things, and I just handwrite. That's how I wrote my sun signs book, my moon sign, all my books. And it just what comes through, what's meant to. Yeah. And it's just a way. Everyone has a different way to tap into information, but everyone can tap into their own soul record. So what I started doing, it was really cool, Karen, is I realized that the north node and south node in our birth chart, which everyone has, is your past lives and it's your future mission.
The body thrives when it has a mission, and there is no greater mission than to become the change we wish to see in the world. Sometimes, though, we need a little help from consultation and support services. Have you discovered that this world is not what you thought it was? Have recent global events awakened you and leave you feeling unsettled? Do you feel isolated with your not so popular newfound beliefs? Would you like to learn to thrive in this new state of awareness? It is a big shock to wake up and find that the old familiar world is gone, and it can be disturbing to go down the various rabbit holes only to find that the information is difficult to digest, and few people are willing to talk openly about it. You are not a conspiracy theorist. You are awakening, and once you find your way through it, there are many blessings on the other side. My name is Karen Holton, and I offer vital services that may be just what you need, and support for your journey into the weird and wonderful. Check out my Awakening Support and Ascension consultation, created to support individuals with their chosen alternative realities and lifestyles, health and recovery, and spiritual adventures. For more details, check out the various vital services found on my website, and be assured that I have found personal success with every category featured. My website is www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com.
So in astrology, that's what we look at to see what your past lives have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's where that little horseshoe looking thing is, that upside down, that's your south node. And then where the one that's up like this, it looks like headphones,
Mm-hmm.
chart symbols, that's your soul mission this lifetime. So to really know your past lives, you just need to know your exact time of birth, month, day, year, and place to know what house and sign the nodes are in when you're born.
Mm-hmm.
So the north node and south node are the most important nodes in your placements in your whole chart. So people that have the north node in the 12th house, the north node in the 8th house are meant to be phoenixes and angels, and they're meant to master those areas of life. They're meant to be spiritual. And people that have the south node in the 12th and 8th have already been spiritual. They've already served others and helped them. Now they're learning to do things, bringing those spiritual things into more of a practical service.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I explain it is, the 12th house is the house of spiritual service. Its opposite house is the 6th house, which is the house of Virgo. and it's practical service. They're both houses of service, just in a different way. And so when you know your North Node, if it's in Aquarius, that means your soul has master being a Leo. And if it's in the 12th house, the North Node, it means you've mastered being of service, but in a very practical Virgo way, right? Detail focused, medical field typically, and very scientific minded, realistic, practical. And you're meant now to learn more of the 12th house, be Aquarius, but master the 12th house energy, right? And so the nodes show the past lives. And when I do a chart, before I even pull up the wheel, I open up the record and I have their name and I just ask questions and I write in whatever symbols I see. And that's what Edgar Casey did, but he would be asleep. He wasn't awake when he did it. And the way I'm trained, you're awake. You don't have to be asleep to access the record. So, but you do it through writing. It's through writing. So I would see symbols and I'm like, I have no idea what they mean, but they mean something to the client. And so then when I do their chart, 100% of the time, the symbols have to do in the past life energy with the nodes. It's like it mirrors itself. What's in the record is in your birth chart. So yes, I believe in that our soul has lived other lives. I believe, as a Christian, I have a lot of people write me and ask me, how do you believe in astrology and that it's not wrong and all this. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say to you at this point because I've been through my own journey with that, with the guilt, thinking is this wrong? I'm doing this. I've been through all of that when I was young. I know it's not. Because there's books in the Bible that we've never even seen. Saint Jerome was the Catholic. He wrote a book, Reincarnation for the Christian, and I have it. It's like a theosophy book, and the Catholic Church used to teach reincarnation. All these things were taken out of the Holy Bible that we have today. The Nicene Creed decided what books we could have in our Bible. That's why the Catholic Bible is different than the Protestant Bible, right? And has different books in there. And so it's a whole nother show, but I believe Jesus talked a lot about it too. And there's a lot of theories about Jesus. Dolores Cannon. I've been reading some of her books about the lives of Jesus, and before he became the Christ. There's all these theories in all of these books, and I love it all. And I'm open-minded. That's the thing. I'm open-minded. I do believe that Jesus walked on earth. I believe he was real. I believe in the story of Christianity. But I believe there's a lot more that we don't know.
Yes.
For instance, you'll like this. I always ask people, and I was talking to Dave, when I was on Dave's show, about, the Sermon on the Mount. How they saw him come out of the cloud and light. Okay, that could be in those. I mean, imagine how long ago that happened when Jesus walked the earth, and that happened then. I mean, now we have a lot of technology, and we're seeing UFOs in the sky. They're shooting them down, the government. I mean, air balloons, whatever. But back then, and so how do we know he didn't come out of a ship or somewhere? I mean, this is what a lot of these books and theory, from people that Edgar Casey has a lot about it too. I think there's a book called The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's about that Jesus was actually all of the major figures. His soul was the major figures throughout the Bible. Adam on. And Edgar Casey, I think, also believed that, or they had channeled that through. But I love Jesus. I have pictures all in my room, and I just am open-minded, and I know that astrology is in the Bible. And that's what I tell people. And if,
and you can't deny it. It's not like you can pretend it doesn't exist. It exists with such accuracy that I personally believe it was a tool given to us to help us with our course. And people like you help us to understand it and take advantage of that wisdom and that information. The other thing too, I just want to say, I know it's a little bit off topic, but I also love to do research into the ancient cuneiform and the oldest of languages, and it all seems to it doesn't contradict, it corresponds perfectly with everything else. And it's just such an amazing world. And I think we can get caught up in our own spirals of stress in our modern lives. There's so much craziness going on out there. And so I really recommend the viewers. I don't want to take away from the book we're talking about today, but you recommended that I start with the Sun Sign, Houses, and Healing. And it's such a fantastic book because it helped me to understand it all. Before, I found it all overwhelming, the sun and this and nodes and all that. This explained it so beautifully. So the next book I want to read is the moon sign one, and then I'll be ready, I think, for this third book. But you have such a gift, Carmen. You really do.
You're so sweet.
No, I'm just being honest. You
Thank you.
You have such a gift for helping us to understand from another perspective, because we learn really well from this perspective, or maybe not from that perspective. So astrology may not be the only way people could figure things out, but it just makes so much sense. And the more I learn about it, the more interested I am in it all too.
I believe that if you have a lot of unexplained experiences that you can't explain, psychic experiences from a young age, you would like this book, because there's a lot of dreams and stories from real people, and you may find out, why you had those experiences, because you had 8th and 12th house planets. Almost always when people come to me, or I meet people that don't know astrology, and they start telling me, I dreamed of my grandmother before she died. I'm like, you're an 8th houser. When I pull their chart up, it's amazing. Or I'm on different radio shows with them, and they're talking, and I'm like, are you a Scorpio? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you have 8th house energy, Scorpio energy. And so they resonate with all this because they've had these experiences. And this book is very, very easy to read. It's easy to understand. It's stories. It explains, having planets in each of the houses, these 2 houses, what it means. And I kind of highlight, about resilience. And I have, all of the things that rule the 12th house. I have it listed. I have tips, the childhood, how to assess your childhood trauma, that treatment scale to score yourself. Did your parents divorce? Did you lose a loved one? And to see what your score is. And I give tips for self-awareness. I share some dreams. Here's the dream. I had a graphic artist bring to life some of my dreams in the book. And that's me hugging my grandma when she came to me in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when I woke up, something was going to happen the next day, and she passed away in her sleep that next night.
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of very vivid dreams. This is probably one of the most mystical dreams I've ever had, about a chariot of angels in the sky. And I share about that and how it had to do with my grandfather. Years before any of it happened, but the whole thing happened. And at the time when I dreamed, it was like 2015, didn't make any sense. And 3 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, this whole thing is what I dreamed. And so it's hard to explain that to people, normal people. I've never felt normal. Even in high school, I believed in all this stuff. I naturally believed, and I used to, wonder, is there aliens? Is there UFO? Where did that come from? I was raised in the Bible Belt. I was raised Baptist in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's no conversation like that back in those days. Not saying that you're that old, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
And what changed me, I really believe, is that there was a glowing ball light in my doorway when I was 16 years old. And after that experience, I got really into researching angels and the pyramids and spirit guides and all of these things. And I just always knew things. I would feel things. And I was afraid of stuff. I was afraid of the dark. I had my door open, and I was just not like anyone in my family. and now I know why. It's an 8th and 12th house thing. So, but no, I was when you were talking about, the different energies and things, the reason astrology works is that, it's a tool for self-awareness. It's a tool, just like a therapist uses hypnosis or uses assessment, personality tool. It's a personality tool, just like they assess for depression, or shoot, there's all kinds of things that we use as tools in counseling. And the thing about astrology is that everyone's validated by it. They're like, yeah, that is me. How do you know that? It's not that you're being psychic or, making up information. It's science. It's energy. Astrology is energy. The planets and the moon and everything has an energy. I mean, the full moon affects the tides of the ocean. So of course, the moon affects our emotions. So that's the moon in astrology, right? Our inner nature, our emotions, how we show love. And so I've just spent my whole life studying it. So I live it. It's a part, it just becomes me. Now, I'm not an expert in everything, but astrology was the thing that I wanted to master, and that's
Mhm.
what I know. I know a little bit about other things, and spiritual, philosophies and different things, but I believe that God created astrology. Jesus talked about it in the Bible to the disciples, and he said, they said, "When will you return? When there'll be signs in the sun, moon, and stars." Why would he say that? And
Mhm.
that's why I always hate, I get bad emails sometimes from people, like mean emails. I just delete them.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not even going to try to justify who I am. I know that it is a powerful tool that I have helped people. I help people. That's what I try to do. And it helped me. And I just want to teach that it's a tool.
Mhm.
You don't have to predict the future with it, and it's not all this hocus pocus stuff that people think it is.
Mhm.
It's a deep psychological tool. It's like doing a Myers-Briggs. It's like
Mhm.
doing four lenses or true colors personality. It's the same energy. It's the four elements: earth, fire, air, and water. And it's the energy that makes astrology work. It's energy. And it's always changing. The
Mhm.
transits and the planets are moving. Like today, the sun went into Cancer. You know, but why I wanted to focus on Phoenixes and Angels on the eighth and 12th houses is because um these people came here, their souls, to help heal other people.
Mhm.
And they have to heal themselves before they can truly heal other people. And so it's a journey, and it's a lifelong thing. I have a lot of people tell me I hate having 12th house planets, or I have so much eighth house, it's so hard. Because the eighth house is about repression. And so it's about, a lot of times they don't express how they feel because it's so deep, they don't know how to put it into words.
Mhm.
And so they're very secretive and private. Both 12th and 8th house people are, real secrets, but 8th house are secrets that we see and know because we're perceptive. And the 12th house are secrets that we don't see. So it's things that we had no idea about. It could be you're adopted and you never knew, or the
Mhm.
dad that raised you is not your biological father. I mean, I hear these stories from people and they don't find out till later in life,
Mhm.
and it all makes sense when they start realizing their 12th house son, their moon's in the 12th or the moon's in the 8th, their father died at a young age. They never had their father around because they never knew him. And
Mhm.
all of these experiences with death and rebirth and grief is the eighth house thing. And losing people, that's how eighth house people awaken. And that's what happened to me. I lost my first person that ever died, that I ever knew, that died, and ever my first funeral was my friend when I was 16 years old.
Mhm.
And she was accidentally shot and killed.
Ooh.
And it was an accident. These
Mhm.
and that changed my life. And after that, and the glowing ball happened the same year. And my
Interesting. Very
and
interesting.
and then that changed me, and I want to know. I want to know what happens if I die. I used to lay
Mhm.
in bed and think I could die. Where would I go? These are eighth house things. This is normal, And then people would come up to me in the grocery store, tell me very deep things like my husband died or my child died, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. They would just come up and tell me their problems. That's what happens to eighth and 12th house people, phoenixes and angels, is people share all of their secrets with you. They just come up and start talking to you and you don't know why. Well,
Mhm.
I'm telling you why. It's because you have planets in the eighth and 12th house, because
Mhm.
it's your energy. Your energy, people sense it and they know that you'll understand and they're drawn to it. The
Mhm.
other problem, though, with having eighth and 12th house planets is that we can have secret enemies, and we
Mm.
can have people that use us and they just want to take advantage, or they're unwell, they're unhealthy, and it's not
Mhm.
deliberate, but they're not good for our life. And we have to learn
Mhm.
to have boundaries and know that we can't save everyone. And
Absolutely.
we got to take care. We can help people, but we have to discern it, have discernment, and we need to have boundaries, and we need to take care of ourselves first. We
Yeah.
can't, it's like on an airplane, put your mask on first before you put somebody else's.
Yes.
Eighth and 12th house people have to learn that the hard way often.
Yeah. And we have to learn also to have our internal boundaries secure before we can have our external boundaries. And I didn't learn that for the longest time,
Yes.
especially, again, this Christian upbringing where you have to turn the other cheek and sacrifice. And, if someone doesn't have something, you give them yours. And, you were supposed to be just giving and giving and giving. But once I started, actually, when I started to get the knack of my internal boundaries, that includes what I allow myself to eat, the people I will associate with, what I will do for entertainment. Like it's a lot of stuff, right? And once
Yeah.
I had that all kind of engineered, the rest just took care of itself. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying
No.
that boundaries are so, so important. Carmen, is that book already out or is it coming out?
It's pre-order now. It actually
Pre-order now?
releases the end of June, so just next week. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I'm going to have a live release party. I'm going to be giving away some free copies, and I'm going to sign it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Carmen Turner-Schott, on June 29th
I'm gonna
is the
write that
release
down.
date. That's next Thursday night.
Mhm.
I think it was 7 o'clock. If you go to my YouTube channel, it's Carmen Turner-Schott, SCHOTT, and you'll see I have a live set up scheduled. And I'm going to go live on there with the book and answer questions and give some free copies away. That's my book
Wonderful.
kickoff, my book release party, I guess you could say.
Wonderful.
If you pre-order it or it'll get shipped to you after the 29th of June. It'll ship out. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I have author copies, so I'm excited.
Oh, I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to read it. So that
Mm.
was the other thing is I find that I have difficulty um, imagining the imagery that comes with reading. But I found your book, so far I've read this one, so easy to read. It was really a joy. I couldn't wait. So what I did was I would wake up early every morning. I usually wake up at 4. My cats won't let me sleep past that anyway. So I would spend an hour, half an hour just reading your book, right? And it sort of set me up for the day. And yeah, it was just
You.
fantastic. So I really recommend all of your books. And of course, I'm hoping people are going to buy, Phoenixes and Angels. It's
Yes.
just
Yes.
a total winner of a book. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about your launch party. So it would be 7 o'clock Central Time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Central Time, and that's on and it's on your YouTube. I'm just writing this down
Yeah.
so I don't forget to add it to the description
Thank you.
below.
Yeah, June
Right.
29th, book release party on YouTube, and
Yeah,
book raffle. I'll be giving free copies out to people that join, and I'll mail it to them and sign copies.
nice, very nice, very, very nice. So we're coming close to the end, and I know you have to get back to work. So I want to give you a little bit of time. Some people will be more listening to this on an audio platform rather than a video. So could you just say, I'll have in the description below your links and everything, but do you want to just say where people can find you, if there's any additional information you want people to know, or any last minute things you want to say about your new book, anything you like, Carmen, here's your big chance.
I would love for you guys to follow me on Facebook. I have two different Facebook pages. I have Deep Soul Divers Astrology with Carmen Turner-Schott, and then I have Carmen Turner-Schott author on a Facebook page. Love for you to follow and like those. And then Instagram. I'm trying to get my Instagram built up, and it's Carmen Turner-Schott author on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then my website is www.carmenturnerschott.com. And then my YouTube is my handle is Carmen Turner-Schott. That's my YouTube channel. Love for you to subscribe and follow me there. But Facebook, I'm on there a lot. That's probably the biggest. And then trying to build my Instagram. But yeah, please follow me. I have articles. I also if you go to my website right now, I'm offering a free gift, a birth will, and you put your information in. I get an email, and I'll send you your chart, and I can add you to my new email newsletter that I'm just starting.
Mm.
And it'll be like different updates. Like today, an email went out about the sun going into Cancer, different, free books I'm giving out, different events, different classes, and an astrology update every month. If you want to get an email from me, you just go through my website and register that way, and you'll get a free birth will. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
fantastic.
send you your chart will, you can see what it looks like. And then I'm doing that right now. It's on my main homepage if you scroll down, and then if you visit my website for the first time, there'll be a pop-up. Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, it's just been such a joy to have you on the show. I hope you'll come back again.
Yes.
I'm really excited about your new book. And yes, Phoenixes and Angels, everybody. Check it out. It's you can pre-order it now on Amazon, and it will come out and be shipped to you in about a week. And I'm just so grateful to know
Yeah.
you, and you've made my life better. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
very, very much, Carmen, and I'm sure the viewers do too.
Thank
So
you.
I want to thank the viewers for joining us again on the Quantum Guide Show. It's been a delight as always, and we will see you again next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels. Like this video and share it with your friends. You can also find the Quantum Guide Show and my other podcast called Aliens and Astrology on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. That's www.forbiddenknowledge.news. And while you're at it, check out my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com, where you will find some amazing products and services and an abundance of free resources to help you with your journey. All of the links are in the description below. And in the meantime, until we see you next week, keep up the good work.
Splendor and endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play. It's okay. It's okay.